All right, I'm Heath, backstage at the 2024 Mr. Olympia, and I'm here with one of my idols, Shawn Ray. Shawn, I have a couple questions for you.
Let's do it.
When you were competing against Dorian Yates and you were standing toe-to-toe, what was going through your mind, not just the prejudging, but in the finals, being slightly, I would say undersized, right? But you're producing a different type of look next to a giant in some aspect that had different types of muscle, whereas for you, you were much more streamlined. I didn't see you have any weaknesses really, but tell me, how did that feel?
I tried to block out the noise because I felt on any given day, this guy can be beat. Only if they decide they want to take the sport in a different direction. I didn't think I was going to be wider. I didn't think I was going to be more grainier, more muscular. I just knew that if I was complete, I could expose some of the things that I didn't like in his physique. Now, what I don't like is not necessarily what the judges don't like, but there's some structural things I wasn't really a fan of. I was in awe of his calves. World class, I wasn't really impressed with the biceps. I wasn't really impressed with the chest. His back, I didn't want to get caught up in looking at his strengths, so I focused on his weaknesses, and I also honed in on my presentation. And I thought that if I can leave these fans and judges feeling a certain way, maybe they'll forget about the size. Maybe they'll forget about and overlook some of the grainy condition, because I was up against a behemoth in Dorian. He has 6 titles for a reason, but I always felt confident enough that if I bring in the polish, maybe it'll be me. And I got that confidence from Muhammad Makaway, from Lee Labrada. I mean, these guys, Samir Banu, they were beating the giants before I was there, and they were beating them, I thought, on their performance, which makes you forget about the size of these guys. It didn't work to my favor, but I was knocking on the door, and I thought every year I had an opportunity.
What's amazing to hear about that is that that's something that I would look at, those old VHS tapes of the Olympia. I bought all those tapes and then DVDs when I first got into the sport because I needed to see what the contests were about.
Right.
One of the things that I always appreciated was that you let people know how you felt, and it was for good reason, for what you just said. I didn't feel like you spoke any lies about it. You were just pointing out some things that you wanted to be addressed. But when you went into the off season, was there ever a moment where you said, you know what, I want to put on 10 extra pounds? Was there any show that you tried that?
No, I really didn't, because I figured I got to make up for what I'm not making on the Olympia stage. So I went about the business of bodybuilding. I really got heavily invested in trying to find ways to monetize my physique. I knew that I was a product. I needed to sell it. That's why my posing routines, I took the time to entertain, because I knew if they liked it here, maybe they like it over in Germany. Maybe they like it in Mexico. Maybe they like it in Russia. And my bodybuilding career took me all over the world, not because of my physique alone, but because of my presentation. And then I also knew the importance of leaving something behind. So I went to every gym. I gave them a photograph. I created T-shirts. I made 6 DVDs and videos. I marketed myself like a product because I thought, who's the best person to sell Shawn Ray? It's me. Nobody is going to be more invested in me than me. Bodybuilding from head to toe, the food, the training, the sacrifice, it was all about me. So I recognized that we are a product and we need to sell it, and sell it the best way we could. So I knew I was inspiring people. So I made certain things that could create a lifestyle for myself. I endorsed and worked with different companies that were non-competing companies, worked with different gyms, put myself in places of opportunity by going to shows. Even though I wasn't in them, I would go there and opportunity would come because I knew they wouldn't knock on my door. It served me well, and I think a lot of guys coming up behind me took a page out of that to market themselves better.
I think one of the things I admired most was in 2001, where you were actually competing and then still did a bit for Fox Sports.
Yeah.
Now, being a former basketball player, playing on Fox Sports, I was like, wait a minute, I'm watching the, bodybuilding. Wait a minute, there's a bodybuilding on Fox Sports? Tell me about how that felt.
Yeah, I always likened myself to being a little bit shy when I started, because it's very daunting to go out there in a pair of posing trunks in front of an audience after you've only been posing at your home in front of a mirror.
Right.
I know that closed mouths don't get fed. So I took voice and diction, acting for the camera while I was in college. When I had the opportunity to say something, I put myself in a very uncomfortable situation for many times until I got comfortable. And once I was comfortable, I realized this space is wide open. There's not a lot of bodybuilders that want to talk, like a lot of boxers. They're so heavily invested in their profession that they don't realize talking about your profession is just as key. I've watched you turn into basically an expert speaker, motivational speaker. You've gone way beyond the stage. while you're bodybuilding, though, a lot of people become very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
I did it. It coincided. I had the opportunity to work with ESPN,
Yep.
Fox Sports Net, got a workout show on TV. I MC shows all around the world. I think the more you do something, the more you're passionate about it, the easier it becomes, and then you realize the reward is there. Time is money. The time I spent learning how to speak properly, learning how to formulate sentences, fill in the gaps, become a historian, that's paid dividends for me the way it has done for yourself. There are other people that aren't capable of doing that. It's not a knock on them, but I know that when my bodybuilding career was over, there are things I'm gonna wanna do, places I'm gonna wanna go, and closed mouths don't get fed. So I made sure I was able to dot the I and cross the T in terms of being able to express what I'm thinking.
Well, I want to say thank you for all the things that you have done, but most importantly, you championed a whole new division.
Yeah.
And I was there
Yeah.
with you, watching you. You know, we were talking about the old school 202 that became the 210, the 212 now.
Right.
Giving athletes an opportunity that would normally be forgotten past the NPC level. You know, you got guys that are 135, they be 165 pounds, they turn pro, they're forced
Yes.
to really just become a personal trainer, maybe work for a couple companies, but you made it into a business, you helped them. Tell me more about how you went about that, because I didn't really ask you that back then. Like, did you have to go to Jim Mangan? Did you have to go to the Weiders? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, but the irony of it is that little guys like me were just getting blown off the stage by the bigger guys, and if we had kept going the way they were going, we would have never heard of a James Flex Lewis. We would have never heard of Kevin English, who won the Olympia 3 times, the 202. Also David Henry, a military guy.
Yes.
Hidetada Yamagishi. So the 202 gave birth to the 212, I think it was. And the reason it did is because I thought, look, it's only about dollars and cents here. If we have the money to do it, will they allow it to exist? Jim Manning was receptive. Steve Weinberger was receptive. That was Dorian Yates' training partner and best friend back when I was battling him. But Steve Weinberger gave me the opportunity to host that in New York. And David Henry was the first guy to win it. And they saw that guys like me were no longer going to have a place because we had the big guys, Gunther Schlierkamp, you know, Nasser El Sambadi, Marcus Rule, J.P. Fuchs. These guys were well over 6 feet, 300 pounds. I'm proud of that I championed that area, and that Jim and Steve Weinberger and our federation were receptive to embrace it, and look at what it's become. We just witnessed Keon Pearson walk off with a $50,000 check last night for the 2nd year in a row, and little Shawn at 177 pounds can beat some of these guys in the open, fighting it out for 2nd place, but he's got 2 of those titles himself. Every time I watch that, it takes me back to when I created it, and it makes me feel like that's my child, that's my baby. Even if it's a little bit more supersized, I feel like my career not winning the Olympia still means something to people that don't even know that I was there doing it.
Absolutely, and with that, I like to acknowledge you as an individual, but more of a person of service. You're a service-driven leader. I really do appreciate all the contributions that you continuously make for guys like myself, and even the guys in this open class that we're getting ready to go see. We have a Derek Lunsford, who's a double champ. Guys, when it comes to bodybuilding, look no further. Between Shawn Ray and myself, we love this sport. We crave to see competitors compete at the highest level. This is a gentleman that has a lot of standards, and he would be the first one to tell me, hey Phil, you gotta improve, you gotta do this. And sometimes it can become rigid or harsh, but it came from love. And I want everybody to know that about him, because when you love something, you want the best for everyone. So with that, I just want to say thanks, man, for all your support. I really do appreciate you, and I hope everybody knows that.
All right, amen.